Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Show. My name is James Williams, and the Michigan Wolverines have done it. They are your national champions. They beat the Washington Huskies last night, 34-13, a 3-touchdown victory for Michigan. They were basically able to control the game throughout. The final score is a little bit misleading to how close the game was, but Michigan did have control throughout the game. They played excellent. Their defensive line, I think, was maybe an unspoken star of the game. They really bothered Washington. Michael Penix was inaccurate more time, the most inaccurate game that he had this season. Threw a few picks, had a really big pass to a Dunze in the first half where it would have been a huge game on like 4th and 7. Gave Michigan the ball with really good field position. I think that could have turned the game. But we're not going to necessarily talk about that game today. We're going to talk about the big picture of Michigan football and the big picture of Jim Harbaugh, because if you've been following the NFL head coaching carousel the last few off seasons, you know that Jim Harbaugh has been flirting pretty darn hard with the NFL. And many believe that after winning a title with Michigan, there's going to be a lot of talent leaving for the NFL after this season. That if Jim Harbaugh was going to make a move to go back to the NFL, it would be right now. And I'll go ahead and just show you this tweet here from Jordan Schultz, who is a reporter for Bleacher Report. Here's his tweet. He tweeted this yesterday. Excuse me, that's the wrong page on my computer. He tweeted this yesterday. There's mutual interest between the Raiders and current head coach Jim Harbaugh. I'm told Harbaugh wants to return to the NFL and has a lot of interest in the Chargers vacancy as well. There's also another report that when the Commanders hired their hiring team to make a decision on their next head coach, that they also had a lot of interest in Jim Harbaugh. Mike Vrabel was fired today, too. So we currently have 6 NFL openings: Titans, Raiders, Chargers, Panthers, Falcons, Commanders. We also might have a few other openings that might come up as well. The fact that Mike Vrabel's fired, there's also a lot of smoke that maybe the Patriots try and trade Bill Belichick to a different team. Will they fire him? He had kind of a weird press conference yesterday with Bill Belichick where he basically kind of said, like he said it but didn't say it. He was like, hey, I want them to fire me. I want them to do it. I'm not going to leave on my own terms, is basically kind of how he said it. There's also a few other openings that could potentially come up of playoff teams. The Eagles and the Cowboys, I think, could potentially come open. And the Bears. Did the Bears just say, like, you know what, screw it. If we can get Jim Harbaugh, we'll do it. We drafted him. He went home to Michigan to go ahead and win a title there. Maybe he'll want to go back to the team that drafted him and win a title for the Chicago Bears, be like his brother and win a Super Bowl, kind of avenge those 49ers teams that got very, very close but didn't finally get there. So I think basically, too, if you're talking about Jim Harbaugh and leaving for the NFL, I think he has his pick of the litter. I think any one of these teams, if they end up firing their head coach or the teams that have already fired their head coach, I think they'd be stupid to possibly pick anyone else over Jim Harbaugh. And I think if he's not at the top of their list, he's probably second or third. So the other thing here, too, I think to consider with Jim Harbaugh, and this is kind of the unanswerable question that I really don't know about Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what his motivations are. I have talked to, over the course of doing this podcast, I've talked to over 50 people that cover different teams all over the country when it comes to college football. And we will talk about head coaching vacancies, and I'll talk to people that cover certain teams about their head coaches. And a thing that I always ask them is, all right, if Lance Leipold's going to leave Kansas, for example, or if Matt Campbell's going to leave Iowa State, for example, or Mel Tucker's going to leave Colorado, for example, like, what are their motivations? What do they want? And I think there's some people that are like, hey, when they leave for a job, there's some jobs that they say, hey, it's a stepping stone. I have an opportunity to get a huge pay grade and go up to this conference here, and I have belief in myself and I can go ahead and compete. There's other people that are motivated by money. There's other people that are motivated by status. And with Jim Harbaugh, I'm not necessarily sure what he is motivated by. I don't know if he was negotiating and flirting with the NFL. This is what Michigan people would tell you. He was flirting with the NFL the last few off seasons to kind of like leverage Michigan and bargain with Michigan to have them pay him more. Now, I think after winning the title, he can basically, if he wants to, I think Michigan would make him the highest paid head coach in college football. With that being said, if Harbaugh is going to leave for the NFL, what does Harbaugh want? Does he want a team that he can have control of? where he is like very much influential on the roster and building out the roster. If that's the case, a place like the Raiders or the Commanders would make sense because it's like, hey, he can come in, he can maybe be influential with their draft. They're more rebuilding spots. He has been in the college game for like 9 years now. So he might have a good kind of idea of the players to really target in the draft for the next few years. Or does he maybe want to go to a playoff team? That would make the Chargers more appealing. That would make the Eagles or the Cowboys more appealing. Does he want that? Does he care about a franchise quarterback? These are questions that I don't know about Harbaugh. Obviously, money's important to him. But it's going to be very interesting to see what, if he does leave for the NFL, what kind of job he wants. And even too, if he's not interested in any of these jobs, guys, he can just like wait around and, go 7-5 at Michigan next year. And he can still be one of the hottest head coaching candidates next offseason if he wants to. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind here with this. There's another clip I'm going to show you guys here in a second, because Jim Harbaugh might have already tipped his hand to where he actually, or what he's actually going to do next year. This is a clip from the Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt last night, where Van Pelt was interviewing Harbaugh after the game, and Harbaugh has very interesting comments about this upcoming spring for Michigan football. We'll go ahead and show that clip here, and then we'll talk about it.
Told him 3 or 4 days ago we're moving spring practice back. We usually start on Valentine's Day,
okay,
February 14th, because we love football. But this year we're going to move it back. We're going to move it back about a month. That'll be good too. We'll have some nice weather in the spring in Ann Arbor.
Okay, so you're thinking about the spring in Ann Arbor. All right.
Very, very interesting there. If Jim Harbaugh was definite 100% going to the NFL, you wouldn't think that he would be making comments about Michigan's plans to, how they were going to control their spring football. Now, with that being said, does that clip 100% prove that Jim Harbaugh is staying at Michigan? No, it obviously does not. He could still be planning out the spring football season a little bit and still be kind of like, he kind of do the same thing he's been doing the last few off seasons, where he's like, well, I'll interview with the Chargers, see what they'll offer me. I'll interview with the Raiders, see what they'll offer me. So just still a very interesting clip there, where it's not, I don't think it's a slam dunk deal that he is going to the NFL. If you're going to ask me my honest opinion, I think he goes. I just think he goes. I think he's been flirting with it for a while now, but there's also an opinion here too, where he did kind of play coy a little bit, talking about his future. He's like, hey, I just kind of want to enjoy this moment, which I don't blame him. That's what he should say. I don't want to talk about my future right now. I just want to enjoy this moment with my staff and my players. But again, like I said earlier too, this is the thing with Harbaugh. He can leave next year if he wants to, if he thinks there's going to be a better job open next year. He can leave whenever he wants. Now, again, if he does sign that extension with Michigan, where Michigan offered him the contract that's like, hey, you can sign this like 10-year contract, but if you sign this contract, you can't negotiate with NFL teams. You can't leave NFL teams, leave and go coach at NFL teams. We will not protect your buyout if that's the case. It was something along those lines. I don't know the exact details of it. So very, very interesting here. This is going to be a very interesting coach carousel cycle going on in the NFL for the next few weeks here. Will Jim Harbaugh stay at Michigan? Is he destined to go back to the NFL? Leave a comment what you think. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Thank you very much for watching. My name is James Williams. We've been doing this podcast now for a few years now. Just starting now the last month or so, putting clips like this on YouTube. I've done interviews with people all over the country talking college football, NFL, NBA, college basketball. And if you like this content, hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this and you want to help support the show, hit that subscribe button and really help the show grow. I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.